Welcome to the round of 64 in the PBC, the Party Boy Craig tournament. Both of us have to play our pre-submitted decks in game number 1. My deck is a Hidden Rush Deception deck. His deck is a Control Magic deck. There are restrictions on what you can have in your decks. Well, mainly restrictions for cards you can't have two of. For instance, he's playing Control Magic, but he can only run one Demogorgon. He does have a Demogorgon in his deck. Just one of the rules. So Dark Knives, again, in this matchup is borderline. I actually kind of like Gamma here. It's just very interesting and intriguing. Ooh, Assassin's Aim, but it's just too greedy to keep this, I think. But on Gamma, it's pretty solid. It's pretty solid. I'm going to pass on one. The reason why I'm passing on one is because I have no turn 2 play, so if I burn my Pip, it's kind of awkward here. I think that being able to ramp this out potentially on 4 is going to be useful. I think I'm just going to play Surprise Delivery next turn unless I draw something on curve. Usually, in this particular matchup, you don't really need to lock their board down, so you're really just pushing 6 with Surprise Delivery. And that's really going to be the case here. Unfortunately, Umber Arrow is one of the worst cards we can draw. But we do already see here the potential for next turn playing Gamma, followed by Assassin's Aim, followed by Pietro. This can stick around because the main AoEs we're concerned about are stuff like Shape Blast, for instance. So they're going to have Unannounced Arrival, so they will get a random 4-drop. Well, not a random. They'll delve a 4-drop, and it will take 1 point of damage here. And they get this thing. Ability, give +2 order to an enemy creature. Okay. So the general idea is our stuff is going to be hidden anyways, so we're going to hope to make this a relatively low-value card. One thing we've got to be cognizant of is the Sanctum. That can be kind of key in matchups like these. So this is an interesting turn. Very interesting turn. I'm going to change plans and go with Avatar of Deception, keeping this behind. Obviously, sleeping and confusing this doesn't really accomplish anything. Firewall is going to be problematic. Can Assassin's Aim push 7 here? With the idea of next turn I can hide Pietro. I think this is a good attempt here. I mean, we still get wrecked by Shape Blast is the problem. That's kind of why maybe I should have gone with the Gamma line. But we're keeping everything hidden, so this doesn't get value. And next turn we can do this and hide with Pietro if he doesn't have Shape Blast. He could have Shape Blast here. It's in his deck. It's a card that he's going to keep in the mulligan. This will kill this, this, and this. We obviously play Gamma next turn. And the following turn we can hide and Pietro. And that's a line. We got to be very cognizant of Valka's Discovery in the Sanctum, though. Gamma. And unfortunately, our clock is not in our favor at the moment here. We hide face Pietro and then pray. Ooh, that was big for them. That was definitely big for them because now we're not damaging with Gamma here, which is critical. And I mean, we still go with the same line as before. Assassin's Aim doesn't really accomplish anything. We get the hide, we get the Pietro down. Okay, Defiant Farmer doesn't do much because they have the ward on their god. Very likely to run into an AoE, and if he's got a Tracking Bolt here, he can buy the Valka's Discovery. Looks like game 1 is not going to go our way here. There's really not a pathway to victory unless he just somehow bricks in his hand. When he gets to 7, there's a lot of really good cards that they can have. They can have Demogorgon or an Ember Oni. Those are basically it. And they do have the Tracking Bolt. This will allow them to purchase the Volca's Discovery and the Sanctum, which is definitely the line that they should go with here. And I think they do that, they basically just win the game almost instantaneously. Pyric. What are they doing? Why Pyric there? That makes... They Pyric to Safeguard. I don't know. Feels like a very weird line. They really don't want me to steal a card from their deck. They've made that clear. This is perma-hidden, so I don't have to commit an attack with this, which is important to note. We're very likely to get hit with Ember Oni here, which honestly probably wins them the game. The barrels will potentially open up a pathway where I can do things with these. Firewall, we can Umber it. I'm really expecting an Ember Oni or a Demogorgon this turn at 7 mana, so that's when bad things typically happen to us. Okay, they're going to go with the Volca's Discovery, so they plan to just kill the Gamma, which does make some sense here. Okay, Flame of the Second Shattering. So they probably don't have Ember Oni or Demogorgon. I mean, if Ember Oni with the barrels in play, there would have been no way they could have resisted that. And Demogorgon on that board was an obvious play. So it kind of gives us information about their hand. They could still have Hortuck. But, I mean, our draw is just horrendous here. We've got nothing. We have absolutely nothing here, and this should be an easy win. We bricked out. I don't see a pathway to victory here. They do indeed have the Hortuck, so we're gotta hope that they just leave Leech on one minion, but they don't. Which means we can Stunskin 1, but that's not gonna get us very far here. Stunskin 1 for a little bit of defensive play. This is... I would call this desperate, but that would be offensive to the word desperate, because this is beyond hopeless is the correct term for the situation. We can hide this Assassin's Aim Dark Knives face, and maybe there's something, but realistically, there's no path to victory here. Too many things can go wrong, and I'm just gonna call it here. This has been enough. No moss. So we ended up losing game number 1, so we do have the sideboard portion. My sideboard is very control-oriented, but I didn't really go deep into the sideboard in this game. The main idea here is that Shadowcat is kind of wrecked by the AoE heaviness of his list, so I sided out the 2 Shadowcats in favor of 2 Cutthroat Insights. So that's the difference that I've made. And, of course, now, looking at the opening mulligan, I would keep a Shadowcat and not this. This is a really, really bad hand. Hammerlurker is something here. Just gets AoE'd off too much. So, really, it's funny. You side it out, and then it's like, well, you know, I would have rather actually had it. That's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes when you're doing some of these things with the sideboard here. We do have a decent start here this game. The mulligan started off bad, but got a lot better, opening with the Blighted Scion. Got the Armor Lurker behind. Can play this and this the following couple of turns. Actually, I think we just go full press here. The risky thing here is Merrick next turn is really, really, really asking to just get wrecked by Shaped Blast. So, obviously, if they basically just GP here, pass, okay, so see, they pip, which makes the Merrick play a lot less dangerous. Of course, they get this, which is going to effectively act as a board wipe in this situation. I kind of have no choice. I might have a choice now, but I'm gonna keep this back here. The general idea is that hypothetically, if we can sneak Gamma out and then Dark Knives hide, we can burst for 14. That would be very big for us. Decent chance it's just collateral damage to a Shape Blast. And we get Loki and Disciple, which is pretty solid, but let's just go with the Gamma. We're just going to go for the Jugular here. We're not going to attack with this. The plan next turn is very simple. Assassin's Aim, face. Can threaten up to 14 points of damage, but though, of course, they've got the answer. Can still do 14 here. I think we do it here anyways. It's not a very pretty line, but we do push damage, and that gets us somewhere. Okay, the Leyhorde Hatchling is cool because that's potentially surprised burst that they might not have accounted for. So we push 15 points of damage that turn, get them to 14. Obviously, they're going to start picking off our minions here, but Loki and Disciple behind isn't bad. Then we can maybe chip away at this. They are likely to get the Ruin of Strength, which can be problematic. Yeah, not surprised to see Shard. Won't be surprised to see another Bolt here for the Merrick as well. Interesting, we got the trade there. That worked out better than I thought it would. I did not think we'd be getting that trade. So that could be a positive momentum moment in this game, because if you look at the situation, what's going to be happening here? We're going to be able to get the Ruin of Strength in the Sanctum. The reason why I'm confident of that is because we've got 14 favor, and alright, unfortunately the Stone Skin top deck is very, very clutch. So we're able to do this, and the cool thing about this is even though Shape Blast does expose us in theory, it also kills their Stormstress. So it's a little bit double-edged there from that perspective, from our opponent's perspective. So we are threatening lethal right now. That's something that he's got to respond. Critical turn for our opponent here. Shape Blast does bail them out of the situation. We got to think they've got Demogorgon and Ember Oni potentially at 7. That's what they're hoping to survive. Hortuck, a lot of ways to gain health potentially for them at 7. But can they answer the situation on the board? They either need to play 2 front lines that can't get Umber Arrowed, which is very difficult with 6 mana to meet that criteria. Kill Lokian. And that is not going to do it here. There will be a game number 3. So, there we go. Game 3 is necessary. Queuing into game number 3 with this same list that we played in game number 2. That was victorious. We sided out the Shadow Cats, put in Cutthroat Insights. And we're going to see if that's a good or a bad idea here. Again, going to go with Orpheo's Distraction. We love an early Pyramid Warden, early Armor Lurker. The Knives, I'm not as keen on early. I like that later in the game here. Lady Marcella is just not great matchup for it. Stormstress wrecks it. It does go wide, but the 1/1s can be distracting for us. Of course, we get Umber Arrow. Umber Arrow is another card I should have sided out. Now that I've drawn it in back-to-back games, I should have put some more thought into my list. Probably taken these out in favor of a card like Hortuck or something. Maybe a little bit, expand my top end a little bit more. Hortuck or Witherfingers could be a surprise for sure. But the early Pyramid Warden is great. Great early card here. We'd probably still play the early Lady Marcella with the idea that we've got the Umber Arrow anyways, even though this can get exposed. So they're going to go the classical route of dealing with the Pyramid Warden with they're going to give up 2 spells over 2 turns. So we're really getting max value out of the early Pyramid Warden. And the reason why he committed the Star Shard Bolt there is probably because he's afraid of Assassin's Aim on turn 2, which we didn't have, but that is something that is a very popular line. We might see an unannounced arrival from our opponent here. Would not surprise me at all to see that. It is in their list, and they can pip out to 4. It gets a lot juicier with these 1/1s in play, and put something in their void that they can get back from Pyramid Warden. So we're going to see if they're going to go ahead with that. No, they're going to use their GP. And what I think they're going to do here is I think they're setting up to the Shaped Blast. So what we're going to do here is a very, very simple line that does not get exposed by Shaped Blast. We're going to play Surprise Delivery. So the fun thing here is if they play Shaped Blast, they put barrels in their void, which we can then give them with Pyramid Warden. I think that's funny. My opponent might think that's less funny, but we're not committing ourselves to the obvious. The GP pass. Okay, they're going to go with Unannounced Arrival, so no void tricks with this. They do kill the 1/1 tokens very easily, and they get something that does heal their god, so they're going to consider that a successful turn from their standpoint. They do take 6, but they will heal for 3 when the Tomb Carver does eventually pass away. We can buy the Lambasting Wand and the Sanctum, which does represent a potential of 6 extra points of damage. That is going to be something that we're going to keep our eyes out on here. I think the Lambasting Wand is the way to go. And, you know, I'm going to go ahead and allow Lady Marcella to pass. I think what we're going to probably see here is an AoE of some sort. If they AoE or just remove this, the Umber Arrow token on the deadly Lady Marcella is a thing. The reason why we don't just hide there is because of Stormstress. Stormstress would really wreck us in a lot of those lines. Unfortunately, we buy the Lambasting Wand, and the Nightleaf Trapper appears right behind that. It's a bit unfortunate break. They do have the Shaped Blast indeed, so they will get 1/1 tokens at their pleasure, I guess. They have the option to just buy the Nightleaf Trapper and really take away a lot of the value from this relic. I was hoping this would push 6 points of damage, and as of right now, it looks like it's getting almost nothing out of that. Very unfortunate from our end. I have to attack with this relic. I am going to just GP. Very lame turn. This is exactly what our opponent would want to see, unfortunately. We're leaving one of these up. We have a Stone Skin. If they play a front line here, we use the token to our advantage. We're probably going to keep this guy alive for as long as possible. One line we have next turn is going face with this and hiding. Quite frankly, we don't have much in our hand, and I don't want to commit to Ico here yet either. Okay, they do have Safeguard, which is convenient for them. Can't attack here and hide, which is also rather unpleasant as well. This is annoying as well. Interesting, they just final draft for 1 to the face. It's kind of weird. Not sure I agree with the line from our opponent. Just don't have a good play this turn. And unfortunately, I am going to just go like this. This can be a somewhat awkward creature to deal with mana-wise. Well, especially to kill this and this in one turn is difficult. They have to spend usually 2 mana to get the Protected off, another spell to kill this, and then another spell is possible, but it would be extra. And if this ever gets just lives on the board, it can be very, very problematic for our opponent. That being said, they do have wards, so keeping this back is a consideration. Lightning Talisman is in their sideboard, but does not mean they're playing it. So kind of a decision point here in this game. I think I need to kind of go for it. And that's what I'm going to do here. Push 6 points of damage. We actually don't have it. We don't have anything that can help us. There's no reason to play the Blighted Sky Element. It just gets turned into an 0-1. It's no thingy-majiggy. We actually have nothing. We're not threatening lethal. It appears like we might be threatening lethal. That and a $5 bill can get you a Coke in Disneyland. That is about the situation we're in. We do have some top deck potential. Got to keep in mind. We can top deck. Okay, that does not kill this unless they get Spell Boost. They could grab this. Actually, the funny thing is to grab the Shield Maiden, it gives me outs. Because I could top deck Umber Arrow. We've got one more left in our deck. Okay. So this does give us one more out. We're obviously hiding this and pushing face regardless. They do have Ceres in their deck. They've got heals, Demogorgon, and stuff like that. And unfortunately, we miss. I think we have to play Gamma. So it's just a very weird situation. Committing the Stone Skin to this is not what I wanted to do. But I think I have to play Gamma here. Gamma threatens lethal. It asks the question. Unfortunately, if they have Ceres here, they get maximum value. And probably instantly win the game. A Demogorgon here can be a game changer as well. They could have Ember Oni, which is huge because they're going to get the heal from all of these minions right here. And this is going to die as well unless I buy the Rune of Life. Actually, buying the Rune of Life is definitely the play here. Pietro. Let's see what we can steal from our opponent. Stormstress does not accomplish too much. So buying the Rune of Life to make this a little bit more sustainable and then playing Pietro. They're going to gain 5 here. We're really running low on outs. Pretty much anything wins for our opponent here. Shaped Blast wins. Unbound Flames wins. Demogorgon wins. There's a very low number of cards that don't win for our opponent here. They've got 6 in hand. They do have the Unbound. That should be game. I don't think that there is a pathway I can possibly come back and win this game with. We committed kind of all in on that last situation. I don't think there's any pathway forward that involves us having a victory here. Let's cutthroat them. Maybe they have something spicy in their hand we can take. Okay. I think Hortuck is the card. Yeah, Hortuck is the card here. I mean, you could say Ember Oni, but then they play Hortuck and then what do we do? They might play Ember Oni into this, but then we can still play it. We can play Hortuck. They've got Flame of the Second Shattering, and they've got 7 points of damage burst in their hand. So there's actually top decks that can get them to lethal in 2 turns, and there's no way for us to really stop that. This card that we stole from them is actually the only health gain that we have available to us. This is just gonna die, but we played it anyways. I mean, they can play Ember Oni here, but it's not the most valuable Ember Oni. Okay. I mean, we play Hortuck, we kill this. It's reasonable. Let's give this Blitzen Protected here. We know they have Blade of the White Plane and a Ruin in their hand, so they can peel these two off very, very easily. Again, they're very close to just getting lethal. In fact, if they had 9 mana, they would actually have lethal with Flame of the Second Shattering, the Ruin go into the face, and the GP. Though I feel like if we can coax a... never mind. I can yammer on and talk. The interesting thing is, if they went face there, they would have had lethal next turn. Maybe they just are like, yeah, there's just no way I can win. And they're probably correct. I'm going to say probably. I'm going to go ahead and play this, hide this. Idea of Assassin's Aim on this next turn. And in theory, if they brick out completely, we could have lethal in 2. That's hard to imagine. We know they have... That does beat the clock of them getting to this number here. Okay. Yeah, this is not good here. I don't think there's a way we can possibly win this game. I don't think there's an out in my deck that gets us there. And this will not do it here. We know from what they're holding in their hand that they have lethal. So, I mean, we can... There's just nothing we can do. There's just nothing we can do. They can... They have lethal regardless. It's just too many lines for lethal here. Unfortunately, unable to get it done. The good news is I don't think I was going to be able to play next round anyways, unless I could have gotten the round in 24 hours. So if there's ever a tournament to lose in the first round, it was this one. And this is technically not lethal since I didn't do anything, but if I did anything that turn, it would have been lethal. For instance, last turn, if I attacked here, hypothetically, then they could have GP'd, gone face, and then they could have used the Flame of the Second Shattering and the Ruin. So they would have had lethal if they had done that. Hypothetically, if I went with that line. Though I was never doing that, so... obviously. Oh well. See you the next time I see you.